Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. A lot of exciting things are happening for the city of Milwaukee, and you've probably heard the news that the Democratic National Convention will be held here in 2020, and the mayor recently delivered his State of the City address. We are privileged to go into detail about those things and more with Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett. How are you?
Well, great. Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here. And I stated that you just gave your State of the City address, and there were a lot of positive things within that address. You held it at the Fiserv Forum. First and foremost, why was it important for you to have the Fiserv as your backdrop?
I think the Fiserv Forum is a great example of what's happening in the Renaissance of Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. There are so many things that are great that are going on, particularly in the heart of the city, where you're seeing a lot of investment, and we're seeing that grow. And we want to see that continue to grow, because my vision is to not only have a strong heart for the city, but to make sure that the neighborhoods have more growth in jobs. And we talked a lot about the growth and the need for growth of jobs in the neighborhoods as well, because I want to have more jobs close to where people live. I think it's too challenging if someone has to ride a bus for 45 minutes, an hour. If they're a single mom, that makes it very difficult. So I want to work with the business community to focus our attention on getting more jobs right in the central city, both on the north side and on the south side. Yeah,
and if I'm correct, you mentioned some 3,000 jobs that you were envisioning.
Right, and what we're seeing on the south side right now, we're seeing some of the fruits of our labor already. Komatsu has announced that it's going to be building in the Inner Harbor. That's a part right on Lake Michigan. Michael's Corporation is going to be building a $100 million investment on First and Beecher. So we're seeing some activity there. We also want to see more activity on the north side. We're seeing some with Good City Brewing on basically 30th and Capitol, but we want to see even more there. And that was a big focus of the speech.
Yeah, and speaking of seeing things grow and really getting a feel for what's to come, you talked about reinvestment and rebuilding, and we had you here when there was the unrest in the Sherman Park neighborhood. But how refreshing is it to be able to fast forward and see the Sherman Phoenix rise from the ashes and be everything that it is? Walking through there, I feel the pride, and I see the community embracing everything that it has to offer.
Well, it is a pretty amazing story. Yeah. People have not been there. They should absolutely go there. And it really does have its origin in the civil unrest that we had several years ago in the Sherman Park area. And we had two women, and I gave them tribute. And I said, if you want something done well, have a woman do it. If you want to have something done spectacularly, have two women do it. But they came in, and they've led the team that has really created, I think, a hotbed of activity in a very positive sense right there on Fond du Lac, in a building that had burned out during that uprising.
Yeah, and Joanne was here not too long ago talking about all that the Sherman Phoenix is.
And both Joanne and have done a fabulous job Julie and Joanne have done a fabulous job in moving that forward, and we're really pleased with that.
I agree with you completely. In your speech, you said the economy is stronger, our neighborhoods are safer, and actually you highlighted city employees who dedicate their time to improving the city each and every day. And one thing that's worth mentioning is that probably for the first time in 20 years, we witnessed the loss of life on the Milwaukee Police Department. And that's not something that has happened in many years, but it happened 3 times.
Right. So several years ago, Ziggy, who worked for the Department of Neighborhood Services, died.
Yeah.
And that was really the first death that I had experienced. But now, in the last little over a year, we've had 5 individuals, 3 police officers, a crossing guard, someone who was filling potholes, Brian Rodriguez, who died in the line of duty, all 5 of them. Yeah. And I felt it was really important for us not only to pay tribute to them, but for the city, both the people who were there and the people watching it, to know that the work that's being done by our city employees is important work, and at times dangerous work.
Yeah, absolutely. And out of everything that you talked about in this State of the City address, what would you say you're most proud of at this point?
I think it's the spirit of the city. I think what you're seeing right now is you're seeing a city that's fighting back. I think we all recognize that there was a time, and there still is a time, where we have too much poverty, we have too many housing issues, some education issues, some public safety issues, but we're fighting back on all fronts. And that's the spirit and the resiliency that we're seeing in the residents of the city is what I'm most proud of.
Yes, and as with any city across America where there are positive things happening, there are also challenges here and there. And one of the things that's no secret is the lead issues that were taking place within the City of Milwaukee Health Department. So if you don't mind, kind of bring us up to date.
Sure, and I talked about that in the speech, and I pointed out, for example, that the federal government now has lifted its stay order, which is important because they identified, just as I had, I was the one that identified the problems initially, and then they saw there were problems, and they told us, okay, put a pause on your program where we go into homes to address the lead issue. They've lifted that stay, which demonstrates just how seriously we have taken this issue and how we've cleaned up our house. There's more work that needs to be done, but one of the things I emphasized is that we continue to see the major concern to be lead-based paint. We know that water gets attention, but where we are seeing the biggest challenges remains in those apartments, those flats, those homes that still have lead-based paint in them. And we want to continue to make sure we're doing everything we can so that kids don't ingest either dust from that or paint chips themselves, because no amount of lead is safe in the human body.
Yeah, and it's very important to know that that lead abatement effort is back up and running from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I'm proud when I say, oh, this person has been here and this person has been there. We just had the new health commissioner, Dr. Jeanette Kowalik. She came on and she talked about some of the efforts that are being put forward, but she also talked about this new Board of Health. So that's a step in the right direction.
Right, and we've worked very closely with her. We've worked very closely with Alderwoman Lewis to make sure that happens. And just this morning I had a meeting with Commissioner Kowalik where she talked about the reorganization that's going to take place within the department so that we can get more workers in the area, for example, like lead. So there's a lot of work going on there, and she really hit the ground running, and we love to see her enthusiasm. We love to see the team that she's putting together.
Yes, and I can't not talk about the HOP presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. It drew over 16,000 riders for the first 2.5 days.
It was pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I was happy with that.
Of course you were, because we always have some sort of controversy when something new like the HOP comes about. But it is really, to me, starting to make sense to a lot of people who maybe didn't see the positive edge to having something like the streetcar, because you're looking to extend the HOP line to make its way to the Fiserv Forum. And beyond.
Yes.
But I bring up the Fiserv Forum because in 2020, the Democratic National Convention is going to be happening right there at the Fiserv. And you have to tell us what was going through your mind when you got that phone call that Milwaukee beat out Houston and Miami.
Well, I was pumped. How's that for an honest answer?
Yeah,
I was pumped.
I can only imagine.
So I think people have to sort of put this in perspective. This is the first time in the history of this city, all the way back to 1846.
Yeah.
First time in the history of this state, all the way back to 1848, where we are hosting a political convention for a major political party. So this is most likely a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yeah.
And I'm proud. And I think the city should be proud. I think all the residents of Wisconsin should be proud. And what it's going to do is it's going to put the spotlight on Milwaukee, because there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of journalists here. And they're going to write about the speeches, they're going to write about the convention, but they're going to be looking at the good things in Milwaukee and at the challenges that we face. So this is a chance for us not only to showcase what's good about the city, but it really challenges us to address some of the issues. Like I said, the jobs issue, the housing issue, the public safety issues, that we really know that there's more work that needs to be done on.
Absolutely. There's no doubt this is a game changer, because if I'm correct, I did an interview with the communications director for the DNC, and she said that this was the first convention held in the Midwest outside of Chicago in 100 years.
In 1916 in St. Louis.
What?
Yep. That was one of our arguments. Come to the Midwest. Come to the Midwest. So we're happy they're coming here.
So the 2020 DNC is going to be held July 13th through the 16th, like I said, at the Fiserv Forum. So let's talk about this selection process, which just even watching the news stories, like we're still waiting, and you know, it was a lot of people going back and forth, kind of weighing the good, bad, ugly, all those things.
So it was, the way I describe
cities.
it is, we just completed a marathon race to get to the starting line.
Yes, yes.
So now it's the Ironman competition between now and July of next year, because there's going to be a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about it.
And you have every right to be. I think that it's a situation where you can't say, oh, well, that's the Democrats, so I'm not happy. If you are really for the city of Milwaukee winning, then it really doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. You really want to see the city be able to make $200 million in revenue. It's really a winner all the way around across the board.
Well, to be clear, I'm hopeful and optimistic that we're going to pull this off beautifully. And people are going to say, when the convention's over, boy, that was a great experience. I loved coming there. And then the next day, we'll start working on the 2024 convention for the Republicans, just to show people I can be bipartisan.
Yes, indeed.
Because it's all about showcasing the city.
Yes, that's what it's all about. And comparing Milwaukee to Miami and Houston, we of course heard the little stories about Miami saying Milwaukee's not fancy enough, but I thought we have a beach too.
Yeah, that's right. Good answer. Good
But
answer.
really, there are certain processes that take place. You have experts who actually go all over, kind of comparing and contrasting across the board with each city. They are experts in transportation and accessibility, all of these things, and Milwaukee came out on top. So what is your understanding of what really allowed us to?
Well, I think there's some, first I think the way I describe it is the stars lined up for us.
Okay.
You have a Midwestern battleground state. You have a mayor that's very interested in having this, which you don't always have. You have the owners of the arena that are very interested in having it. You've got a lot of community interest because it's a big deal for Milwaukee. It really is a big deal for Milwaukee. And by having so many of the major players that said, yeah, we want to work with you to have this happen, I think that helped us. I think that helped us a lot. Obviously, we had to meet the requirements when it came to venues and hotel rooms and transportation, the arena, which was a real benefit, because when they first came here, we gave them a tour of the new arena less than 48 hours after the ribbon cutting. So you talk about spanking new. And the other thing that was great about the timing of the first visit, their natural question is, well, can you handle a convention with 50,000 visitors? And we could say, in all honesty, well, 2 days from now, we're going to have over 100,000, maybe 150,000 Harley-Davidson riders. So we can do this. Now, this is a different animal. Because I think the major difference is the Harley-Davidson, which is a great, great event for the city. This will have a lot more journalists and others that are opinion leaders that will be here, that are going to be affected by how they view our city. So we really have to, again, I think, do the best job we can, and we would anyway.
Yeah, and as we wrap up this segment, when you think of the political star power that's going to be here, I mean, you look at a convention of this nature where the Democrats are going to be naming their presidential nominee. All the eyes from around the globe are going to be on Milwaukee. It's a big deal, but there's a lot of security that's going to have to go into this. Are you guys already starting the process of finding how this is going to be funded and all those things?
That actually has been in the works literally for months. And it's happened in all the cities that submitted a bid. Our police chief, our police department, our fire department, our Department of Public Works have been meeting with federal counterparts so that we can see how they're doing it. We will obviously require additional police officers, both from within the state, outside the state. Traditionally, there has been a large grant from the federal government to cover the security costs for both the Democratic and Republican conventions. We're banking on that, if you will. So that preparation has already begun in earnest as to how to deal with the issues that arise when you have so many high-profile people in a very concentrated area.
Yeah, and you're going to need a lot of volunteers to work as ambassadors for the city as well, right?
Well, and I'm looking for 12,000 of my closest friends.
12,000?
12,000
wow.
of my closest friends. So.
Of your closest friends. Is there a process that if someone
There'll
is
be a
interested,
website, and people can sign up on the website. What I would say is we're just getting this plane off the ground right now, so don't be discouraged. And it's obviously going to heat up. It's going to be at a very hot temperature in July of 2020, but there'll be a buildup that will occur over the next 470 days or so.
Yeah, quite naturally, and time flies by, so it's going to be here before we all know it. The Milwaukee Bid Committee included you, County Executive Chris Abele, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Governor Tony Evers, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, Congresswoman Gwen Moore, and the Bucks Senior VP Alex Lashley. So together you guys pulled it off, and I think that
a lot of people put in a lot of work. Visit Milwaukee, a lot of people put in a lot of work.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yep, exactly. Ooh, I like that. That's good.
And so if you would, I want you to stick around,
Sure,
because there are
course.
more great things happening in the city that we have to let everybody know about,
Okay,
right?
sounds good.
Thank you so much. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll find out more about the mayor's Earn and Learn program and a new initiative created by the mayor called Fund My Future MKE. We'll discuss that and how you can get involved right after this.